Hello everybody, this is Kirusho here. Now, before I get into this what if, alrighty, that is how this is starting. That was a different soda from all the previous ones. Now, another thing, I wanted to do that just because I can. And I also I was actually at Barnes & Noble today. I just got back, in fact. I got a 20-sided die. So, for people in my Discord, I will actually be writing down the first 20 suggested what ifs that I see, and I will actually be including Doomslayer in that list. If those 20, out of those 20, I will be rolling and seeing what I get. Now, I will actually write down numbers for those what ifs. Also, guys, I will be checking the comments on YouTube also. So, if you guys don't join my Discord, that's fine. Just know I will also be checking YouTube. And that this is going to be for the 1000 special. Now then, I do hope you guys enjoy the video and have an amazing day. This is actually future Kirusho, so just know that I kind of realized I made a mistake with just saying on Discord. Alright, enjoy the video, guys. So, whichever one I see, I will write down and assign a number. I also have more die, which actually are all somewhat confusing. I do not play D&D, but I do plan on actually getting into it one day. But that is enough of that. Let us get into this what if. So for people in my Discord, there is that. And I do know someone asked about it. There will be a link in the description of this video, and there is a link in the description of last video. Now, let's get into this. When we last left off, I do believe Deku just beat Todoroki, but in the process, he actually damaged one of his gloves. Now then, Deku is actually watching as the match with Ibarra and Jiro get underway. Deku actually watches as this match is going to be a little more challenging. Because Ibarra can just burrow underneath the ground and actually trap Jiro, while Jiro essentially just needs to stay up high, essentially keeping away from the vines. Now, Deku would actually watch as these two actually step into the ring. As soon as they hear go, Jiro actually steps off with her left leg, jumping as high up into the air as possible. As soon as that happens, she immediately points out her arms and begins blowing up sound waves. Now then, her arms are actually shaking because of this, and she actually has to reinforce herself. While this is going on, Ibarra has actually put up a shield of vines in front of her and is actually trying to attack with them, lashing out and just doing what she normally did in canon. While this is going on, Deku is actually being asked by Todoroki why he didn't use... Essentially, he's being asked by Bakugo why he didn't go all out. Deku would just say he wanted to prove something to Todoroki, and in fact, that the reason he didn't go all out was because he didn't feel like he needed to. In fact, he's saving a part of it. He's saving as much as he can for the finals. Because I will beat you and I will be the #1 hero. I don't care for brothers. Just know, this is going to be the start. As Deku just looks at Bakugo, he smirks. As Bakugo basically shakes Deku's hand, saying he plans to see him in the ring. Now, back to that. Jiro and Ibarra. Eventually, the fight would be drawn out to the point where Jiro is still up in the air, and Ibarra has almost covered the entire ring in vines. It's gotten to the point where Jiro she comes back down, and as soon as she is about to hit the ground in the ring, she lets out as big as she can a massive scream. Now, this is actually one of the abilities she has been trying to practice. As loud as she can, she actually blows away a lot of vines and sends Ibarra flying out of the ring into the wall. Everyone is trying to figure out what just happened, and this is whenever President Mike would just yell that it seems like our young student, Jiro, has actually come up with a new move. In fact, that was almost as not, if not as loud as me. I'm pretty sure no one can even hear me right now. As all the glass in the stadium is broken, people are trying to get their bearings. Now then. Let's see. Mina versus Tokuyami. Tokuyami is distanced, so I want to give it to Tokuyami. Bakugo versus Kirishima. Yeah. Bakugo has actually been improving himself upon the last 2 weeks. He used to be thinking that his quirk only worked on his hands, but after some really hard concentration, he's found a way to actually use it on the soles of his feet, if not the very bottom of them. But the skin isn't as rough as on his hands, so he can't do it for very long. So, whenever they're in the ring and Bakugo and Kirishima are fighting, Bakugo would actually force Kirishima to pull out his unbreakable mode. While that happened, Bakugo just tried staying away from Kirishima as long as possible, and anytime Kirishima would actually get close to Bakugo, he created the explosion that took out Ochako's meteor shower, actually making a lot of the heroes concerned, as these explosions are very large. Now, eventually I do want to say Bakugo would win, but he would actually have to go to Recovery Girl and get his feet checked out. Now then, Deku versus Jiro. Jiro actually walks into the ring, saying that she's actually really happy that she gets to fight him. She's actually going to show that she is stronger now. Deku would just say that that's fine, but she is going to have a hard time, as he's not going to be holding back. In fact, he does believe she might be stronger than Todoroki, so she's even a bigger challenge. Jiro takes it as a compliment, saying that that's fine, and they would say begin, as she immediately plugs her cord into herself, actually starting to scream once again. However, this is actually a bit more dialed down, so she will not throw out her voice. But this is whenever Deku, he immediately dodges out of the way, actually just blowing up an explosion right underneath his feet. People are confused, thinking Deku can do that too, but the real reason was he was able to just touch the bottom of his leg. Now, Deku's actually flying upwards, and he's actually doing this over and over again. This is actually confusing people, but it's actually straining Deku a lot, as people would just see that there's actually somewhat a bit of bruising, if not some blood coming out of Deku's legs. Now, after that happened, Deku's up in the air, and he immediately just does one thing that kind of confuses her. He immediately aims out his left hand, and he actually closes half of it, creating a bit of a circle as he clicks down one finger, and actually releases a small explosive straight toward her. As soon as this happens, he's actually off balance as he tries to regain footing. He immediately just closes his hand over and over again as he immediately gets close to Jiro, bringing up his hand and actually clicking them together. As soon as he does that, this is whenever he immediately lets off Explosive Burst. Now then, after that, Jiro would actually get engulfed by at least 7 or 8 explosives, as Deku's just been trying to find a way to in rapid success, burst off his explosions. Now, he basically does this by trying to cancel the trigger in his head, but also keeping it going. basically rapidly saying off, on again, somewhat finding it difficult to do this. But that essentially would actually throw Jiro to the edge of the ring. On Jiro's last leg, she makes an attempt by plugging herself back into her voice box and actually screaming as loud as she can at Deku. As soon as this happens, Deku immediately just thinks this isn't good, as he's about to get hit by a wall of sound. So what does he do? One thing that he finds would actually help him. He puts his arm up as much as he can and just starts charging it up. He fires off an explosion big enough to rival his own gauntlets, as this essentially just canceled out her own sound wave, blowing her out of the ring as she passes out. Deku would actually run over and he would actually pick her up, as she essentially is coughing up blood and is exhausted. Now, as that's going on, Deku would take her to the infirmary, as we now have Tokuyami versus Bakugo just like in canon. That fight goes exactly how you expect. And we have the finals now. Deku versus his brother Bakugo. As soon as these two step into the ring, this is whenever Mike announces that this is going to be a very interesting battle. Not only do we have two people with similar quirks, but we also have a rivalry between two brothers. So this match is anyone else's, folks. Place your bets now, because I'm pretty sure this is going to be one for the ages. As soon as he says that, Deku immediately looks at Bakugo, and Bakugo just stares down Deku. Bakugo would begin saying that, "It seems like everything I do, you seem to already know about. So here's when you don't." As he immediately just covers his entire arms in sweat, he just runs his arms throughout his muscles and just says this. Okay, let's try this. As he begins concentrating, he actually begins to generate sparks. This somewhat confuses Deku, as Bakugo is now using Explosive Burst, somewhat soaking his body in explosions. Basically, he's igniting his sweat as soon as it comes out of his pores, which is a very cool thing, but sweat is used to cool down the body. So this is going to take up a lot of stamina. Now, Deku sees this and he's more confused by it, as he immediately just thinks, okay. He comes down to the ring and he actually puts his hand down. As he does this, he actually touches the back of his ankle, and he thinks that this is going to be difficult. As he immediately runs forward, setting off the explosive behind him. Launching him, he blows the explosive with his left hand once again, making more momentum. As soon as that happens, Bakugo actually puts his hand out to blast Deku. As soon as Bakugo does that, he actually watches as Deku dodges the explosion, and he actually blows up the back of his leg, going to actually kick Bakugo in the side. He does this, actually sending Bakugo flying. Bakugo gets even more pissed off, as Deku thinks, alright, let's do this. As he just begins, he actually just goes back to touching the back of his ankles and the back of his arms. As soon as he does this, he's actually able to throw a ginormous punch at Bakugo. Bakugo goes to throw an explosion at him as these two get close. Bakugo's explosion hits Deku, but the momentum from his arm swinging and the explosion behind him actually just sends his arm straight into Bakugo. As soon as that happens, Deku just gets sent flying. And so does Bakugo. These two are both at the edge of the ring as they would look at one another. These two are tired and they're exhausted. As Deku actually concentrates, he's trying to think about doing what Bakugo just did. As he immediately just takes off his left glove, throwing it out of the ring. As soon as he did this, this confuses Bakugo as Deku just tries thinking, come on, come on, come on. He's thinking about this, and this is whenever his feet actually start sparking with explosions. Deku looks down as his shoes tear open and explode, and he's actually really intrigued by this. He's looking down at his legs as Bakugo is telling him to stop copying him. We share the same quirk, but you always seem to be thinking one step ahead. I finally thought of one step ahead, and now you even copy me on that? God damn it, dude. As Bakugo immediately charges in, Deku just goes into a running start, and he starts blowing explosives through his legs as he's running. This is actually cracking the ring underneath him as Deku comes running toward Bakugo. Bakugo comes barreling in towards Deku, causing explosions to go off behind him. These two immediately meet with a punch, and the entire ring gets blown away. As soon as that happens, Cementos and Midnight, they actually go to cover the entire ring, and this just destroys all the barriers. Now then, as soon as that happens, all that's left is Deku and Bakugo just standing in the ring. You just see these two actually just slumped against each other with their fist up, just barely able to stand. Cementos is saying that they need to stop because one of them is going to have their body give out on itself, if not overdo it. Deku is looking at Bakugo and he's just saying, you know, I give you a lot of shit, dude, but that really made me thirsty. Yeah, no shit. That's why I don't do that. It took me a week just to get that, to be able to do that, but you just copied me. Not really. Yours was on your body, mine was on my feet. In fact, I'm not even sure how I did that, but there is one thing I can do. I'm pretty sure you can't do. Oh yeah, what is that? Deku immediately just cocks his head backwards, smashing his head into Bakugo's, and he immediately just explodes. As he says, remote detonated explosives. As these two both fall backwards into the ring, passing out in a stalemate. Now, these two were actually tied for first place, but they actually just asked Principal Nezu to go over the footage. They went over it and they found that both these boys hit the ring. So they are going to have to decide who to give the medal to. So they would actually just have Deku and Bakugo do a rematch without their quirks. This would end the same way. They would find that that was very troublesome. So they would just do an arm wrestling match. Bakugo would win after getting healed, and so Deku would actually be crowned second place, as Bakugo is somewhat cocky about what happened. Now then, Deku would actually go to the infirmary and visit Jiro, as Bakugo explains after what happened, that girl will not be able to talk for quite a while. So she's just going to have this note with her. She actually holds us up and actually tells Jiro that whatever you do, just be careful, because throwing out your voice like that is very dangerous. In fact, I'm pretty sure President Mike has lost his voice a couple of times doing something like that. Now, at least just, you need to at least just whisper for now. As she immediately pulls Deku towards her, whispering into his ear, "Did he win?" in a very cracked voice. Deku would just say no, he kinda just tied with Bakugo. She immediately just pouts, thinking that, well, at least she got third. Now, the awards ceremony already. Now, Deku and Bakugo, they would both be awarded first place. They could be considered that, but Bakugo essentially won. So, Bakugo would be awarded first place, and Deku would be awarded second. All Might would actually say that he's actually very proud that these two brothers have quite a bit of rivalry. In fact, they would both be the number one hero. They also might even rival the Million in power, which All Might is somewhat grazing upon, let's say. They're actually really confused by who the Million is. But Deku would just say, well, I'll still kick his ass. As Bakugo just says, I'll kick his ass harder. Deku would just say, no, I will. Get in line. Now, as that's going on, they would all have to choose internships. They would all come to the same conclusion that there is Endeavor's agency and Ida's acting weird. So, this is whenever Deku would actually be asking Jiro what agency should they go to, if not where they should go. Because Jiro just thinks that Deku has the right idea with power, and so she might as well just go with him. Now, after this, what agency did she go to? I'll have to look that up. Anyways, they are both thinking, and this is whenever Todoroki would just say, come to his dad's, because might as well. Her sound waves can actually probably be used differently than what she's been using before. Deku thinks, okay, so do you want to go to Endeavors? She would say yeah, and Baku would just say that, well, if he's going to Endeavors, then so is he. Because without Bakugo's whole jackass personality, he actually got offered quite a bit of internships. And since Bakugo and Deku both share the same quirk, is what Endeavor's thinking, they are both a proper challenge for Todoroki. Now, that is where I'm going to be leaving this part off of, guys. I do hope you enjoyed the video. If my voice is changing right now, that is because my allergies are starting to act up. I will fix that in the next part.